states cautiously opening the doors to business as long as they keep within those CDC guidelines, including social distancing. Tennessee allowing 50% capacity for restaurants and will now allow the same rules for retail beginning tomorrow. This as the state saw its biggest one-day jump in coronavirus cases. Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator, member of the Senate Armed Services Commerce and Judiciary Committees, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. You are on the president's task force to reopen America. What can you tell us?
I can tell you that people are ready to get back to work, and they are ready to get out and about. And Maria, last night I ran to pick up dinner, and it was so interesting to see people beginning to approach restaurants and to be out and about. I think that people are smart. They're paying attention to the guidance that is given by the CDC, by the governor, by their mayors, and they're ready to get America back to work. They know that this is going to be a recovery that's going to take a while. But just like Governor Lee in Tennessee, I think many of our governors and mayors say, let's do this smart, systematic, strategic, and let's not relapse and have another spike.
Well, it's good to hear things seem to be going well, as Tennessee was among the first to start this. Look, I want to talk a bit about your legislation that you have put forth about holding China accountable. President Trump announcing that his administration is conducting investigations into what went on in China, saying that China, the communist government, could have stopped the rapid spread of coronavirus, wants to find out what happened. You've introduced a new bill that would seek compensation from China. Tell us about it, Senator.
That's it. It's called the Stop COVID Act. It is with Senator McSally and Congressman Gooden. And what we are seeking to do is to give U.S. citizens who have been adversely impacted by COVID-19 the opportunity to sue the Communist Party. And this is through the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act. And Maria, as you know, this is the mechanism that was used by the 9/11 families. But this will give U.S. citizens the right to have that right of action in U.S. courts to recoup the damages for loss of life, loss of livelihood. And this is a proper step.
Because there was a deliberate move here, whether or not this virus escaped accidentally from the Wuhan lab. Put that aside. The Chinese Communist government made a decision to allow this virus to escape its borders. We had Senator Tom Cotton talk about this Sunday, and they knew the severity of it. They allowed it to escape its borders by allowing international travel, 433,000 people leaving China after they shut down the Hubei province. So, I don't know if yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You've got activists in China that say they knew for 51 days they had an outbreak. And you have the Communist Party leadership that kept it quiet for 6 days when they knew this was moving to a pandemic. And they made those decisions. These were intentional decisions. You couldn't travel in China, but you could leave the country. They knew they had the outbreak. They weren't telling anybody because they didn't want to interfere with the Chinese New Year. Now, those are intentional actions. What we are saying is there are a list of things we're going to do to hold China accountable. One of them is giving U.S. citizens the power to go after the Communist Party because every action they took made this worse. And you can look at the lack of transparency around interactions with the World Health Organization. So we're going to have a variety of things we will do to hold China accountable and to help make U.S. citizens whole through this process.
Senator, do you think global companies are getting it? I mean, you know, China has been very clever in creating its own lobby in America. They have lobbying groups in Hollywood. They've got lobbying groups in university because they fund so much. They're giving all of this money to these groups, in effect creating lobbies. They're also expanding their global influence with some lawmakers, pushing for increased defense spending to counter Beijing. Senate Armed Services Committee member Senator Tom Cotton also told me that we should be increasing our military for our own counter. Watch this. You also think military spending and the measures there are going to actually keep them accountable as well.
We need to invest more in our defense industrial base to offset some of the losses we're going to see because of this virus. We need more ships. We need more submarines. We need more bombers. We need more fighters, the exact kind of systems that will deter China from aggressive action against the United States and our interest in the Western Pacific and ultimately all around the globe.
Senator, your reaction.
Yes. Well, this is correct. And I would add to that list. And I will say this, Senator Cotton has been a wonderful partner in dealing with this China impact. And I would add to this list the cyber, which is an area where I've had so much focus. You and I've talked about it. Fighting Huawei, making certain that we're protecting ourselves with the cyber components, and that we do not let China set the standards and drive this with our allies and give them that global dominance, which, Maria, you know, that is what they are seeking. This is also why you've got Senator Sullivan and others of us working on bringing our critical infrastructure manufacturing back to the U.S., which is going to be
that really is critical,
a necessary step and part of this process.
And I'm going to speak with the commissioner of the FDA in just a few moments. Dr. Hahn is going to be here talking about that. Let me switch gears real quick, Senator, and ask you about Michael Flynn. A critical week for General Michael Flynn. I'm waiting on the outcome from the judge overseeing this, but my sources are telling me he will be completely exonerated. Here's Ranking Intel Committee member Devin Nunes on Sunday Morning Futures about that. I want to get your take on Michael Flynn and the general's fate when we after this. Listen to this. I know this upcoming week is going to be an important one for General Michael Flynn. What can you tell us?
In that FISA report, we need everything declassified so that we can continue this investigation. Why is General Flynn important? Because on Friday night, thankfully, Attorney General Barr has appointed a U.S. attorney out of Missouri to look into, what was going on in some of these investigations. And now we don't know what was submitted to the court on Friday evening, but we believe that it's possibly exculpatory evidence that the government had on General Flynn.
So those documents, exculpatory evidence, Senator, apparently are notes about that meeting that General Flynn had with the FBI. They said it was going to be a casual meeting, and they knew that he did not lie. Apparently, that's part of those documents. Your reaction and expectations for General Flynn?
I would say, first of all, keep your eyes on the Durham report and where all of this is going to go. As you know, he has hired more staff. That seems to be expanding. Secondly, we're a nation of laws. We abide by the rule of law. People are so frustrated with what they saw happen with the 2016 campaign and the lack of equity that was shown and the lack of fairness that was shown as people from the Trump campaign were investigated.
All right, Senator, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks very much.
Good to
we'll be waiting
with you.
for that news this week. Senator Marsha Blackburn joining us.